Hi there, sugar dumplings. It is Wonderworker week in my world over at kellyannemaddox.com, and that means I am blogging every single day about business, about heart-centered, spirit-led, entrepreneurial business, about using your passion and your spiritual chops to do what you really love to do and make money doing it. And I'm also going to be putting out a couple of videos, a couple of SoundCloud podcasts, that kind of thing, just basically to give as much advice and impart as much information as I can to those of you who are either already on the business journey or want to get onto the heart-centered business journey and feel a little bit of fear or a little bit of trepidation, or you want a little bit more advice or information. That's what I'm here for during Wonderworker week, and I have done them before. I did the last one last November, and I regularly do kind of SoundCloud podcasts. They're called Biz Riffs. They're called my Wonderworker Biz Riffs, and I basically just use those opportunities that are all kind of under the Wonderworker umbrella, if you will, as a chance to impart some of my insights about spiritual business and give you guys the chance to kind of know a little bit about what I know and take some guidance from me if that's something that you're interested in. If you haven't had a chance to check out the blog yet during Wonderworker week, I definitely recommend it. If you're watching this really way after the fact, like if it's no longer May 16th to May 22nd, then you might want to use the search tab in the right hand side of the blog or at the top, and just put in Wonderworker week, and all the shit will come up that's relevant to what I've been talking about, and you'll be able to get a chance to read through some of my key insights if spiritual and heart-led business is important to you. I asked on my Facebook page and also over on my private business Facebook group if anybody had any questions that they could put to me for a Wonderworker Q&A, and I got some really interesting questions, so I'm going to endeavour to go through them now and give you guys some advice and some insights based on the things that you really wanted to know. Okay, the first question is, I'm curious what focus you place on presentation with online sales. I know with digital items it's a little different, but I wondered what a file looks like and how much it's dressed up when you send it via email, for instance. This person also says that she makes jewellery and packaging is always on her mind, and she's wondering if she's giving the customer a big enough bang for their buck, or if that's really the least important part of the transaction. Okay, let me begin by saying that you are right in thinking that there is somewhat of a difference between the amount of presentation that's required with digital products and services and then the amount of presentation that's required with physical. However, presentation is definitely always a factor, and it's something that I don't think you can overlook in either scenario kind of thing. With physical things like jewellery, like products for magical stuff, anything like that that somebody's buying, handmade clothing and that kind of thing, tarot decks, you know, self-published tarot and oracle decks, the presentation definitely matters to a lot of people, and a lot of people are not shy about saying that. It's really nice to go to a shop online where you know that it's run by an individual, it's run in a heart-centered way, it's not a massive business with a conveyor belt line full of people making the stuff, you know, it's made by one or a small team of individuals. It's really nice to go and spend your money on a business like that and invest into a business like that, and then when you receive the thing through the post, there is that extra kind of flourish, you know, of the nice business card and the lovely organza bag or the nice tissue paper or something to that effect. It's really nice to have that little flourish that makes it feel special, that makes it feel like it is definitely kind of a more high-end and a more enjoyable product to receive because it's been made lovingly, because it's been made with so much intention and compassion in comparison to a more mainstream product in many ways. Digital products should definitely have the same thing, you know, if you're going to send an email reading to somebody and you're going to send it as a document, I would definitely recommend sending it as a PDF document rather than as a Word document. It just looks much more professional and it's much more together, and you know that the formatting isn't going to get screwed up and everything is going to look exactly how you want it to look. For me, when I send a written email reading, I have my logo and branding at the top, and then I have kind of a little presentation part that tells the client when they purchased the reading, when it was delivered, any additional tools I used, also like the amount of words that I've written and that kind of thing. At the bottom I have like my email address and my website, and then I also make sure that I send all of my digital purchase options to clients with a couple of extra things too. So I send them a 10% discount code, and I send that as a really nicely presented PDF explaining how you use it and how you get your 10% discount. And I also send something called a invitation to the Thank You Kiss blog, and that's another PDF where I explain that I really am grateful to my clients, I have a lot of gratitude for them, and as a result result, I always invite them to check out a little secret password protected blog that's for clients only, where they can watch extra videos from me that I have not put out anywhere else. So for me, I just think that's going the extra mile, not only to make the presentation really gorgeous and make sure everything is headed and has my logo and branding and my contact information, but it's also giving my clients something to say, hey, you purchased something from me and now let me invest into you. Here are some private videos that you can watch, and here's a 10% discount code, that kind of thing. So I definitely think it's just as important for digital products as it is for physical products. However, the presentation and the effort that you put into the presentation with physical products, it's going to be more like hard work in lots of ways. You know, it is going to be more about going out and buying that stuff and making sure it looks good and checking and rechecking, whereas with the digital stuff, once you've got the presentation down, you can save it as a template and it's pretty much done. So it does take a little bit more organisation to pretty up the packaging for the physical products, but it's so worth it. I know that when I've bought something from Etsy, or when I've bought like a self-published deck, when it comes with those little flourishes, when it comes with nice packaging, it really feels special, and it's like somebody's really gone the extra mile, and it reminds you of why you do buy from individuals and why you do buy from small heart-centered businesses, rather than just getting everything mainstream and getting everything from a huge company. It just kind of reminds you of why you do those things and why you want to have that incredible connection with somebody who does run their business from the heart. How do you stay motivated when you're just starting out and not used to working for yourself? It can be hard for me to stay focused sometimes. You've got to keep thinking about why you want it. You've got to keep returning to the why. You've got to keep the strong foundation of your desire in mind. It's definitely easy to get discouraged when you're first starting out doing something, when you're not getting the attention that you desire your business to have, when you're not getting the clients, when you feel lost or disoriented and you feel like you're, you know, in a sea of business owners. It can definitely be discouraging, absolutely, for sure. But the truth is that everybody who now makes a decent full-time living doing what they love, they're one of those people who refuse to get discouraged in the beginning, okay? Nobody took the elevator to the top. Everybody had to take the stairs in one way or another, and those people that carried on walking up floor after floor after floor of seemingly endless stairs without getting discouraged, those are the people that can now do it as a full-time hustle, and those are the people that are really experiencing the fruits of that labour. So you've just got to keep checking in with the why every single day. It's so important, especially if you're doing a full-time job and you've got the business as a side hustle or even just as a creative project at the moment. I can definitely understand how it's easy to get discouraged, but keep checking in with the why and think about why you're really doing it and what you really want out of it, and you will continue and you will keep putting the hours in. It's also very, very useful to begin to enjoy things like planning, scheduling, project management, time management, routines, you know, experimenting with the way that you manage your time and really kind of organising yourself in that way. It can be really fun to do that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that I do make my little planner videos and I do talk about time management and stuff on my blog, and you can also find a lot of planner videos and a lot of different ideas for planning your time successfully online. There are a lot of people who talk about doing it specifically for business as well, so you might want to check that out. Lastly, hanging out with your peeps is a really good idea. If you are a heart-centered business owner and you feel like you really need to just shoot the shit with some people that are on your level, please do visit the private Facebook Heart-Centered Small Business Owners group. I will link it below for you in the down bar. Come and join us. We're a very active group. We're very supportive. I'm there pretty much every day, and loads of other people are there just giving their advice and giving things from their perspective, and it's just really, really worth doing. So if you're not on the group, I encourage you to come and join. How do you build up a tarot or oracle reading business? I'd love to know what the right ways are to go about finding clientele to read for. I'd love to be able to read for a lot more people. I just want to know what the best ways are of building up an audience. First of all, it's important for you to realise that building up an audience just does not come overnight, okay? You need to consistently engage. And I know sometimes that can sound really patronising and it can sound like really obvious advice, but I do think that a lot of the time when people become frustrated that they can't build up an audience around their work or they can't make sales of their work, it can kind of feel like very discouraging, and it can feel like you want to give up and you want to throw in the towel. But when you look at it objectively and you look at the amount of time you've been doing it for, it's often not that much time, you know, in terms of how long it takes to get people interested and to post content consistently enough to get people intrigued by what you're doing. So just know that it doesn't come overnight. Keep going, keep plugging away at it. Just keep engaging with people and keep expanding your sense of what the terrain of your industry is like. You know, I do this full time for a living now, but I'm still always really intrigued by new readers that are coming into the game, new people that are giving their advice, that are starting businesses, that are making videos. I'm always going around searching for those people that only have 1 or 2 videos, or those people that have only just started a business, because I want to get to know what they're doing, and I want to know what's new with them and what they have to bring to the equation. It's really important when you're doing it full time for a living even, not to get complacent and to still be intrigued by the landscape of the industry and be willing to go out and meet and mingle with new people online, engage with them, praise their work, invite them to come and look at your work, do that exchange and have that relationship so you can build that momentum around your business. Some people do tell me that they have managed to build a pretty strong audience, and yet they can't seem to make that audience translate into sales. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, some of that is about the fear of marketing and promoting your stuff, and that is something that really needs to be worked out within you. There's nobody that can really help you to fully jump over that hurdle and begin to market your stuff. Lots of people can give advice, and I do give a lot of advice to people with my business mentoring sessions, but nobody can actually push you over that line to make you comfortable to market and promote your stuff. That's got to come from within. It's got to come from you knowing what your stuff is worth and how amazing it is and how much it could help people. And it's also got to come from knowing that you have every right to market your stuff, And I'm going to link below to a blog post that I wrote quite recently about how you are entitled to celebrate your business and you're entitled to make money doing what you love. And my hope is that this blog post will inspire anybody out there who feels a bit awkward about marketing and networking and promoting your stuff. When you are on a roll with your business, how do you cope with being burnt out? I panic when work starts to slow down and I overload myself. Do you have any way to combat that kind of mindset? When you are in business, whether it is just a small side hustle that you're only just beginning, or whether or not you're full-time doing what you love for a living, either way, it is so important to have a non-negotiable self-care routine. And I would also very much argue that if you are of the spiritual or mystical or witchy persuasion, it's important to have a non-negotiable spiritual practice as well. Those things will never ever lead you wrong. If you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling resentful or exhausted, it's likely that you are not doing enough for yourself and you're not factoring yourself into the equation enough. And you actually have a duty to your clients or customers to do that for yourself so that you can continue to show up and be of service in the world. You've got to take your self-care and your self-love practice seriously, and you've got to make it into a priority. Whenever you begin to feel burned out or stressed, just stop for a moment and have a think to yourself about what you've done to care for yourself and to practice self-love over the last few days. And the likelihood is that you probably have been really slacking on that or not putting that into the equation, and that is going to result in burnout. It is going to result in exhaustion. And I promise you now, if I hadn't have got a handle on doing daily self-care, daily self-love, daily spiritual practice, daily journaling, all of that kind of thing, if I hadn't have got a handle on that quite early in the game, I would not still be giving tarot readings and counselling sessions and that kind of thing now. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have completely burned myself out. So I recommend really accessing and looking at your self-care, your self-love. What are you doing for yourself on a daily basis? What are you eating? What are you doing for your body? How are you challenging your mind? How are you learning new things? How are you allowing yourself to be supported and to be listened to by those in your life? How are you nurturing your emotions? How are you nurturing your creativity? How are you connected spiritually? Look at all of those things across the board. If you're slacking on those things, it's no wonder that you begin to feel exhausted and overwhelmed, and it's no wonder that you keep convincing yourself that you can overload yourself like some kind of donkey or cart horse. You can't do that, honey. You can't. You need to put yourself first if you're going to be in this game for the long haul. What limiting beliefs have you had to deal with in regards to your business, and how did you deal with them? This is a really good question. Limiting beliefs and how I dealt with them. Everybody has them when they start out, trying to put their passion into the world and make money doing it. Everybody has those limiting beliefs and those hang-ups and stuff. And thinking back to what mine were right at the beginning, I would say that I definitely convinced myself that having a successful business and being profitable with that business was the domain of other people. People that had their lives together, people who just seemed more sensible and more capable and more in touch with consensus reality. I'm going to give you a clue about myself right now. It took me a very long time to connect with the Suit of Pentacles. The Suit of Pentacles for a long time just beat my arse. I hated it. I just couldn't deal with it. I couldn't handle it. I didn't like the earth energy. I didn't want to connect with what it represented. It didn't align with me. I've always described myself as up in the clouds, you know, living in a dream world, very Neptune-esque in my approach to things. I've always kind of thought of myself like that. And actually, even though that's true in some ways, it definitely was a limiting belief for me when it came to business. I just convinced myself that having a successful, profitable, responsible business was for other people and I couldn't do it, you know, that I was afraid of that kind of stuff. I was afraid almost of making money. I was afraid of the responsibility that came with success. I was just freaked out by official stuff and paperwork and all of that kind of thing. And I really had to overcome that, and I had to go back to the drawing board and talk to myself about how much I really, really wanted it, you know, and I really, really fucking wanted it, and here I am. You talked about being a personally branded, heart-scented biz in a recent video. I'm wondering if you have any ideas, advice, recommendations for a non-personal brand, which is heart-centered, where the peeps involved are more in the background and the products are more centre stage. Like, how do you know when your brand voice is on target, when you're representing a company that's more than just you? Although I very much speak to the personal brand paradigm because that's where I'm coming from and that's what I feel I can teach, I definitely also have a lot of thoughts in my mind as I'm speaking about the personal brand paradigm, about those who actually do focus more on products and don't put their self centre stage. And I do think often that it's important for me to talk about that more because I know that I'm kind of missing out on a massive subsection of people who do put their products at the forefront of their business and don't actually, put their personality right at the core of what they're doing. I think if you focus more on the products and you're not putting your personality and your views and your philosophy, if you like, right centre stage so everybody can see it, then the main thing that you need to be doing to know that your business is going in the right direction is to tune in with how you're feeling about it. You really need to tune in on a very deep and intuitive level. Drop into your heart, open up your third eye, do that spiritual stuff that you've got to do to work out whether or not it feels right for you. Sometimes when you make a decision in business or when you're like contemplating a particular course of action in business, you know straight away when it feels yucky. Something just does not feel right about it. Something in your gut, something in your mind, something at the back of your head doesn't feel right and you feel completely comfortable to say it. But there are other times when the domain is a little bit more like it's grey, it's shades of grey, it's not really black and white, and that's when you really need to open up your spiritual toolkit and your personal development, your personal growth toolkit, and think about the different ways that you tend to be able to access those deep intuitive insights that tell you whether or not something is really right for your business and really right for your company. If you run a business with other people, whether it's just one person or whether it's a team of people, like a team of collaborators or whatever, you also need to be very comfortable to express your intuitive insights with them. So it's no good getting a massive intuitive download that says abort mission, this is bad for the business. It's no good having that if you feel like you need to keep it to yourself, you know? So you need to tune in as well with whereabouts you are with the other people who run the company alongside you. Do you feel like you can really open up and get very real and raw and honest about what your intuition is telling you and what's really in your heart? If you feel like you cannot talk to the people that you're in business with and you can't be really honest about your insights and about your instincts, that is a problem and you need to go back to the drawing board and definitely address that. Sometimes it can really be quite helpful and useful to put yourself in the shoes of your clients or customers, particularly if you are more focused on pushing the product than you are on pushing your own personal sense of identity. Think about how you would feel if you were not you, but if you were a prospective client or a potential customer and you were just passing through and looking at the website or looking at the product copy, how would you feel? Another good thing to do is to ask your friends, ask your family members, and just ask random people in surveys or on the internet somewhere how they feel about your products and the way that you're advertising your products. You know, ask them to give really raw and real feedback and take that feedback under consideration. But always remember to filter it through your own sense of what's right. And that goes back to what I was saying before about understanding how you personally drop into your heart. How do you personally open your third eye? How do you personally know when something is ungroovy and the fucking woodshed, you know? How does it work for you? I know that I have specific ways that I really can drop into my sense of what's right. And I use those things in my spiritual toolkit to help me navigate my way through business. If you don't run a personal brand, but you run a brand that's very much centered on the products, then you have every responsibility to do that. You've got to know what is in your toolkit that helps you to drop into your purest sense of what is good for your business and what feels right. And then you've got to be prepared to take action on those insights once you actually experience them. Finally, if you don't run a heart-centered brand, but you run a brand that is more in touch with like products and services and moving those to the foreground, I would definitely recommend writing down your manifesto for business. Write down your manifesto, write down your ethics or your business principles, make a list of the key things that are really important to you in business, and include the way that you want to treat your clients, the kinds of products that you want to promote and why, what your business is there to do, who it's there to serve. Think about your demographic, think about your morals and the obligations that you feel that you have to your customers, to your products, and to yourself. When you can actually read those things on a piece of paper or on your computer screen, then you can use them to navigate your way through any choppy, weird, muddy waters. You know, when you don't know where you're going, you can refer to the manifesto, and the manifesto will remind you of who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. How does one find the time to care for oneself while working full-time, working the biz as a side hustle, and all the other adulting shit that we have to do? First of all, I really do believe that if you seriously think you have no time to do anything that is remotely, aligned with self-care or self-love or self-nurturing, then the first thing you've got to do is go to the drawing board and think, okay, what the fuck is going wrong here? Because it's really important that everybody should at least be able to take a relaxing bath once in a while, or go to an art gallery if they want to look at some art, or, pick up the phone to a friend and get that kind of connection that they need, that conversation that they need, go and see a therapist, just go outside and live a little. If you don't have any time to read, if you don't have any time to journal, if you just really feel like you don't have any time to just be with yourself and center yourself, then you need to have a serious reassessment of what's going on in your life, and you need to make some decisions about like how much it's important for you to have self-care and what you're prepared to potentially cut out or cut down on in order to be able to get that self-care that you need. I also want to talk briefly about compromise and sacrifice here, okay? If you know that you want your business, which is currently a side hustle, to become the main way that you make money, then you have to confess to yourself and to other people around you that you've got to make compromises in order to allow that to happen. When I knew that I was serious about the creative thing that I was building with the Four Queens, and I really wanted it to become a profitable business, I decided right there and then that I couldn't do all of the other shit that I had been doing before. There was no way that I could work a full-time job and still keep all of my commitments to family, all of my commitments to friends, all of my social life, all of my other studies and investments, all of that stuff, and still do the business. I knew that I had to give a bigger chunk of my time to the business, and I was honest with myself, with my friends, and with my family about that. And I did sacrifice social life. I did sometimes sacrifice some family gatherings. I did sacrifice doing some things with my free time that I would have been able to do before I got a business. And I don't regret a second of it, because I do it full time now and it's fucking joyous. Everybody that wants to take their business to the next level must admit to themselves that there is an aspect of compromise in that, and that's got to be okay. Don't compromise your self-care, your self-nurturing, your downtime. Actually don't do that, Compromise some other things in order to factor your business into the proceedings, and make sure that you still have some time for self-care, because you need it if you're going to run a business. You absolutely need to be able to prioritise yourself, your emotions, your body, your well-being. You can also cheat quite a lot, I often listen to business podcasts while I'm going for a run. I often do my exercises and my stretching and my workouts while I'm watching documentaries in the morning, or watching videos about business or tarot. I do definitely take care of my body and take care of my mind while I'm also taking care of other stuff. I watch and listen to a lot of business advice while I'm doing the chores and that kind of thing. Multitask it, baby. Multitask it always. I'm curious about what you think for those who are creative and entrepreneurial but don't have a solid idea of what they want to start putting out there in a public way. How would you guide people in these fledgling attempts for people just catching the whiff of inspiration? I always say to people who know that they want a business but are not sure what kind of form they want it to take yet, that it's completely okay to just begin networking and begin putting out material, begin blogging or vlogging, whatever it is you want to do. You can absolutely engineer the vision of your business later on, later down the line, once you've worked out what you want to do. I didn't start a business straight away, you know, as I've often said to people, I had a blog for a really long time and a Facebook page for a really long time where I talked about tarot but never charged for it. I was not a professional reader. I was basically just mingling and mixing with other readers, and I was giving free readings for people who wanted free readings. I was putting my name out there, and I was getting my blog that little bit more prestige and that little bit more of an audience, and that really helped me when it came time to start charging for readings. So you can absolutely become part of the spiritual community, part of the community that you're interested in, without yet knowing whether or not you want to put out products and services, or without being sure what you want to do. Start now, and even if you never start a small business off the back of the networking that you've done, you'll never regret being part of a community that's really interested in what you're interested in. So it's always going to be worthwhile. How would you suggest one markets themselves in a non-obnoxious way? I'm going to say something that a lot of people say when they give business advice from a spiritual perspective, but it's very true, and that's why a lot of people say it. So excuse me if I just go with the crowd here. Marketing is just sharing. It's just sharing. It's basically just talking about what you're passionate about, what you're doing, what your work is in the world, and sharing it with people who have already, you know, expressed in one form or another that they are interested in what you're doing. If someone's following you on Facebook, if someone is subscribed to your newsletter, if somebody is following you on YouTube, then they are basically kind of entering into a relationship with you, whereby they're letting you know that they are interested on some level or another in what you're doing and what you're putting out there. Therefore, they are your people. They are the people that it's absolutely appropriate to market to. The most obnoxious thing that I see when it comes to marketing is people who only use their social media platforms to do marketing, or they only use their newsletter when it's time to market something. That can be really off-putting, and it's not going to make you many sales, and it's not going to make you many friends. It's not going to develop a big kind of communicative, engaging audience. What you want to do is communicate with people because they are your people, because they're interested in the same things that you're interested in, because they've expressed an interest in what you're passionate about, and they've let you know in one way or another that they're interested in rocking up to hear you speak. Speak to them, give of yourself to them, you know, engage with them, tell them what you know, show them what you know. Don't just use them to market your shit. Don't just roll around when you've got something to sell. Roll around all the time. Roll around consistently. Roll around because you've got to do it, because you love doing it. People that see your passion will then be very moved to go on and invest in your business. I personally do not market at the end of every video. I don't market every day on Facebook. I don't let people know all the time what I'm doing and what I'm selling. I do market my stuff, but it's only about 10 to 15% of the time on any platform, and that's the maximum that I do. I feel like my work speaks for itself. I really believe in what I do. I really believe in what I have to give and what I have to communicate, and I feel like people do not like to be overly sold to. If I have something new coming out that I haven't offered before, or if I've got a course coming out which has a time-sensitive enrollment period, then of course I'm going to want to let my people know. Otherwise they would be annoyed that they didn't know, you know, and they'd be emailing me saying, hey, why didn't you market this? I didn't know about it. And that's happened to me in the past. So it's important for me to market things when it's appropriate. It's important for me to market things in accordance with a video that, you know, hit that subject or hit that theme, so I can market stuff that's relevant. But I do not market stuff all the time. I don't need to market stuff all the time. People know when they want to click on your website and see more from you and work out what you sell or what you know, what you have to offer. I know that people are not children, okay? I know that when I put kellyannemaddox.com at the end of every single video of mine, people know what a website is. They know they can click over to Kellyanne Maddox and have a look what I've got on offer. You know, they're not stupid. They don't need to be sold to every 5 seconds. So I really feel like marketing is something that I do delicately and very consciously. When I'm ready to market something and I know it's something that my people want to hear about, I sing it from the rooftops, okay? Because I'm sharing something that I'm passionate about, and I have no guilt about that, and I make no fucking apology for that. If people don't like it, they can unsubscribe. But I do not market heavy-handedly, and I do not market or tell people they can buy from me with every video I make, because people don't want to be sold to, and people are not babies. If you give them an example of what you can do, and you keep putting out consistent content which shows them what you can do, they will click over to your shop. They do not need to be told to do that. I think it's like, rather than heavy-handedly marketing all the time, give people a reason to want to click over to your website and buy from you. That's kind of more where I'm coming from with it, and it's definitely worked for me. How can you birth and grow a business that fulfills you in an all-encompassing way, financially, psychologically and spiritually, and also helps the world around you? How can you find balance between what makes you happy and what helps others? I ask this because I seem to always be torn between doing something that seems very selfish or ego-centered, or doing something completely selfless without thinking about my own wants or needs. I personally don't think anybody is helped by somebody who's only doing something because they feel that it fills a hole in the world, or they feel like it's something they need to be doing or they're obligated to be doing. The planet has consistently been enriched by people who actually step into their passion and step into their willingness to express their passion. That's what I find, you know. I've met doctors that clearly never wanted to be doctors, who were either forced into it by their parents or they thought it was the right thing to do, and they've treated me horribly, appallingly in some cases. They have no bedside manner and they clearly don't want to be doing what they're doing. I've also met doctors who clearly dreamed of being doctors as children, who worked for it all their lives and who are truly passionate about it, and they're the best fucking doctors there are on this planet. When you do what you love, you come alive, and that serves the planet. Listen to this quote. I fucking love this quote, it drives me crazy. It's a Howard Thurman quote, and I know so many of you have probably heard it before, but I have to read it to you right now. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Come alive, baby. It's the best service you can do on this planet. The more joyful you are, the more passionate you are, the more you're doing what you love, the more you're in overflow. And when you're in overflow, you've got so much more to give to those who need it. You've got so much more to give to the planet, to the less fortunate, to people in crisis. Don't make yourself miserable. Don't flog yourself doing something you hate because you think it's the right thing. Do something you love, and then you'll be of so much more use to others who really need you. They need you to be on fire. They need you to be in the midst of your passion and your power. I have been so much more use to the world since I started doing what I fucking love to do, believe me. Can you talk about how to start building experience and clients for face-to-face work? Not really, no, I don't do face-to-face work. It's not my bag, baby. I want to be able to move around. I definitely have a desire to go and live abroad at some stage of the game. I definitely have a desire to go and live in a few different places for like a month at a time. And I knew at the point that I began my business that I definitely wouldn't want to remain living where I was. I wanted to move down to the seaside, which I now have done. So for sure, I feel like face-to-face clientele is just a trap for me. I didn't want to have a bricks and mortar situation with clients in a specific place and time in the world, because I felt like that would definitely restrict me from moving on. I want to be completely non-location based, so that's what I've done, so I can't really speak to that. I should imagine though that if I wanted to get face-to-face clients right now, the first thing that I would do is go down to the local yoga studio where I went a couple of months ago to do like a red tent style ritual and a yoga day, and I met the yoga teacher there and she was really awesome. She knew what shadow work was and she wanted to talk to me about the counselling that I do and stuff. And she definitely has a very strong group of women around her and a supportive network around her. And she already told me that if I ever wanted to put my business cards in at her yoga studio, then I could do. So it's definitely worth going to something in your area which is kind of very populated by those who are spiritual, who are heart-centered, or who are into the kind of business and industry that you're a part of. That is how I would definitely start kind of working on getting a face-to-face clientele. There are more questions that I have not had a chance to answer yet. It's amazing how much I could say about each question that I do kind of get asked in these Q&As that I don't even say because I'm trying to like shorten the answers so much, and yet there's still so much that I could say. So I was planning to do another Wonderworker Week video on Friday here on the channel, and I will definitely endeavour to answer the last few questions that I got on Facebook during that video. If there's any other questions that you guys have about heart-centered business or spiritual business, you can leave them below. Please be aware I'm not a solicitor and I'm not an accountant, so I definitely feel like questions that are specifically based around your financial situation or anything to do with legality or copyright should be aimed at somebody other than me. But if you have questions about building a business, marketing, branding, especially in the online spectrum, put them down below and I will endeavour to answer them as well. And this has been amazing. I hope it's been really useful to you. Don't forget to check out the blog for the rest of the week. I am having a Wonderworker weekend video fest over on kellyannemaddox.com on the blog, and that means that all weekend I'm going to be posting unlisted YouTube video goodness that is geared around running a heart-centered business enterprise, and I'm going to be drawing some oracle cards and some tarot cards to really kind of give of myself. Check out SoundCloud as well. I'm going to be doing a couple of audio files to also just really help Wonder Workers to step into their power. Much love, guys. Blessed be.